Good evening, viewers and listeners all over the world. Today I'm going to read a short story from one of my collection of short stories. I dedicate this short story to my childhood friend, Clive. Clive is bipolar and he has been suffering from bipolar disorder for a very long time and he has not been better ever since. So to Clive, I say get well soon, my dear friend. I miss you so much. We grew up together and I dedicate this short story to you because it is a true story of what happened when you and I met. So many years ago, when we were just young kids. Up to today, Clive, I've never forgotten about you. And the more I think about you, the more I want you to get better, my friend. I've realized that those people that you grew up with, your childhood friends, are your best friends. Because they've known you since you were young and when you were innocent. So you tend to trust those people more than you trust people who you just meet later on in life as adults or as workmates. So this short story is called Dylan, even though it is about my best friend, Clive. Get well soon, Clive. So I'm going to read this short story called Dylan, which is about you, Clive, my best friend. Dylan. I met him way back during the summer of '86 when my family just moved into a new mixed race neighborhood from the high density suburbs. Our mother had just bought a cozy 3-bedroom garden flat in a predominantly colored community which was worlds apart from the location where I had been born and bred. I was 11 years old then and Dylan was 9. My first encounter with him was not at all a pleasant one. Dylan and his then friend Fahim, also 9 years old, had trespassed our front yard as I was playing on our front porch. They started to tease and poke fun at me as was the norm for all colored kids when a new kid from the township had moved onto the block. Hoti was the name they gave to anybody they considered too ghetto, while they called their own kind Guafa. So while I was a Hoti on, Dylan and Fahim were Guafal owned. Dylan was 2 years younger than I was, but our body structures were almost similar. He was big for his age while I was small for my age. Even though I was not well versed in their language, which was characterized predominantly by colloquialism, I could pick out a few denigrating words and phrases from Dylan and Fahim's conversation as they confronted me on our front yard. Their actions too spoke volumes, and I just stood there, numb. They made funny faces and mock gestures in a bid to annoy and demean me. He is listening, Dylan, and he can hear what you are saying. He can hear you, I heard Fahim say to Dylan. No ways, this one does not understand Chirungu. He is a Hoti one. Dylan teased as he made more mock gestures. Even if he can't understand what you are saying to him, but he can see what you are doing to him. Fahim, who sounded the more sensible one, added as he retreated backwards. Hoti, kid from the bushes, born and bred in the bushes. Dylan continued with his mockery which went on unabated, at least for me. I was the shy and soft-spoken type, slow to anger. Dylan, on the other hand, was outspoken and outgoing. Look, Dylan, he's listening now. Stop it, Dylan. Fahim was a bit hesitant, but things had gone on for a few more days as Dylan and Fahim seemed to have found a new whipping boy at whom they would hurl their mockery and insults. Then one day I decided to take them head on. I was playing as usual on our front lawn with my makeshift plastic ball when I saw them approaching. They began to scheme on what they were going to do to me as they came near. Dylan again was the first to start his usual tomfoolery, but I ignored him at first. I continued to kick my plastic ball and bounce it on the lawn. He started to pull his ears and began to make monkey chants, all in a bid to infuriate me. Fahim, on the other hand, was laughing and just appeared to enjoy himself as Dylan went on undeterred. By then, I had had enough and I could feel my adrenaline rising. What happened next caught them both unawares. Simply picked up my plastic ball and threw a very hard and ferocious shot at Dylan, and he was hit on his face. He came charging at me like a wounded buffalo. Angered by my audacity, Dylan pounced on me and wrestled me to the ground, howling ugly insults in the process. We struggled briefly before I overpowered him, then hovered above him as he attempted to pin me down. I began to throw an avalanche of clenched fists at him in the ensuing melee. Stop, I can't. I want out. Enough. Dylan pleaded as I had become unstoppable as anger and bitterness had got the better of me. All this while Fahim had witnessed his friend getting beaten up and had taken to his heels. Convinced that Dylan had conceded defeat, I stopped punching him and helped him to his feet. He held out his hand as he staggered to a standstill. Let's be friends. We are Tite Shanghai, he said as he extended a clammy hand to meet mine. My name is Dylan. What's yours? He asked. My name is Noah, and I'm pleased to meet your acquaintance. From that day onwards, Dylan and Fahim never hung out together again, as Dylan and I became inseparable. I was his newfound friend, and their friendship fell apart as Dylan began to respect and look up to me, both as a friend and more so as a bigger brother. He was always struck by my fancy footworks in social soccer. He said he wanted to learn a skill or two from me as far as playing the plastic ball was concerned. He also said he wanted us to look out for each other's backs in times of trouble and tribulation. And we did look out for each other's backs quite often. Like on this one occasion when I had got into trouble with the other kids in the whole neighborhood, everyone had vied for my blood. Everyone wanted to teach me a lesson I would never forget, as I had seemed to have started war against the whole neighborhood. They had built a barricade and I was banned from crossing the streets on my way to school or from the shops and back. More often than not, Dylan would come to my rescue as 3 or 4 kids would team up against me to give me a nasty beating. With his huge frame, Dylan would bulldoze his way between me and my foes and defended me like he was truly defending one of his own. And I was one of his own. This had made the bond between us even stronger. And kids being kids, any scores we had when we were younger would soon be settled amicably and would end up playing the Chikweshe as a team. All the kids from our neighborhood loved the way I played soccer. They marveled at my sheer brilliance on the soccer field, the runs, the skills, the deft touches, and the drills I had learned back in the ghetto were second to none. The thrills and spills were all part of growing up. Sometimes Dylan and I would go to the nearby Mukuwisi River during the rainy season. We had built a raft which we used to sail in after a heavy downpour. We were lucky there were no fierce creatures in the river, as more often than not, the raft would capsize once it set adrift. That was probably about the time I learned how to swim. No matter where we went or what we did, we always wound up on our front lawn kicking the plastic ball. Teach me how to bend the ball, Noah. Like how you do it when you score. Dylan would plead with me. And when I did teach him and he got good at bending it, he would shout out, Look, Noah, it's bending. I would rejoice with him and urge him on, Dylan, way to go, champ. And this brought a broad smile to his face, happy and satisfied with his own achievements. When I was 15 years old and Dylan was 13, I must have broken his heart. My mother bought an even bigger house in a lesser densely populated suburb far away. My family had to move again. My mother had always maintained that the greatest achievement was an even bigger roof over our heads. There were 7 of us children and our father had died during the war, leaving our mother to fend for us by herself. I did not say goodbye to Dylan. I did not even tell him beforehand that I would be moving away. He must have come as usual early in the morning to play with me the following day on our front porch, only to find an empty house. He must have even called out my name only to be greeted by silence. Dylan must have been devastated by my indifference, and my heart still bleeds to this day. He was arguably my best childhood friend. You probably knew and understood me better than anyone I've ever known. So I'm so sorry, my friend Dylan. So this is dedicated to Clive. Get well soon, my brother and my friend. Thank you. And see you on the other side.